What's up YouTube, PokePrimer here, proud to deliver you our team builder for JLPC Season 6, Week 2. Last week we took on the LA Nido Kings and we picked up a big 4-0 win off the back of our big meat bird. This week we are taking on Whojay and his Bloomington Bros, and his team is gonna be a nightmare and a half to face. This team, as you can see in the bottom right corner of your screen, consists of Jirachi, Incineroar, Virizion, Regidrago, Palisand, Morgrem, Zapdos, Suicune, Vileplume, and Armaldo. So, yeah, gonna be completely honest, this is not gonna be a fun one. I don't like the matchup. For one, our star player, Meet the Galarian Zapdos, has one thing on this team that just hard walls it, and that is his Kantonian counterpart. Just outright walls it. They gave it no real rock coverage outside of Ancient Power, and that doesn't count. So Zapdos is 100% showing up, without a doubt. And it's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with, because Zapdos actually is really good against our team. There's not a lot we can do about it. We're just kind of slaves to whatever it wants to do. So that's fun. Incineroar is going to be a pain. It's just bulky and annoying. Jirachi, every flinch that it gets is going to be an F word coming out of my mouth. Regidrago is probably the thing I'm least worried about, because I just bring Tapu Lele and Regidrago can't do shit. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, Suicune is like the other biggest threat, because mainly just because of the fact that it is just Suicune, and simply put, Suicune is always a problem. Suicune is bulky, Suicune is a setup monster, and if I just let it get going, it's going to be tragic. But I think I've prepped the best I can to deal with this. I did prep very quickly while I was at work, so it's not perfect, but it's the best that I could come up with to deal with these monsters. So obviously the first thing we have this week is going to be Shortcake our Tapu Lele. Life Orb Lele this week to get that extra damage output, but like not have to sacrifice being locked into a move, because there's a lot of cases here where I don't want to be locked in to a move. There's a lot of switches that could happen that I don't want to be locked in. I don't want Incineroar to come in if I lock myself into Psychic, or if I don't want to be locked into, Thunderbolt if Palisand comes in, stuff like that. I don't want to be in situations where I can't do anything. So this is going to be a very prediction heavy match for sure. This is going to be a match where I'm going to have to predict his switches incredibly well in order to make Lele shine, because it hits a lot of his mons incredibly hard, but I have to hit them with specific moves. So we got the Moonblast, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and a Thunderbolt. We are running 192 HP AVs. We are running max special attack with a modest nature. We are running 4 Spadef, and then we are running 60 in speed. That 60 in speed, I pretty much came up to the point where I realized that's all we really needed, because we don't need to outspeed Regidrago. It can't do anything to us. And I believe it sits at, what, base 80? Yeah, base 80 speed. So I don't really need to outspeed that. It doesn't do anything to us at all. Morgrem, speed-wise, doesn't really matter, because Psychic being up is going to pretty much neuter that thing's existence, and I don't even think it shows up, to be honest. Can't outspeed Zapdos if it's a speedy one. Can't outspeed Suicune if it's speedy, but will if it's bulky. So really it came down to I just needed to outspeed Incineroar. It's the only thing that I can outspeed, that I like to outspeed, and is beneficial if we can outspeed. But this way we have a lot of extra bulk as well, which is really nice. So we can tank some hits here and there and not stress too much. I always forget how especially bulky Lele actually is, so being able to tank some special hits is going to be really nice. But Moonblast, obviously, for the things that's super effective on Morgrem, Regidrago, stuff like that. Psychic for the Vileplume, Virizion. We have Shadow Ball to hit the Jirachi. Jirachi is going to be one of the main switch-ins, I believe, to this thing, for sure. So, being able to smack that thing with a Shadow Ball on the switch-in would be really, really great. And then we have Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is there just as an alternate way of hitting the Suicune. Hopefully it's not a Calm Mind Suicune, so we can deal with it relatively quickly, because Modest Thunderbolt with Life Orb does a crazy amount of damage. So hopefully it won't be too big of an issue. We can get through the Suicune pretty easily. But basically I just need to land my predictions appropriately with this mod. I need to be able to hit the Jirachi with Shadow Ball when it's coming in. I need to be able to predict if the Suicune's coming in, and hit the thing with a Thunderbolt. Stuff like that. It's gonna be a stressful game just with Lele alone. So I'm gonna have to be very careful. But I definitely think that Lele, if I can land my moves appropriately, is going to be a force in this match. Next up we have Meep the Galarian Zapdos, and I toyed with this so much. Like, there was so many different items I wanted to run on this thing. But I decided on Black Belt at the end of the day, because the move I'm probably going to be clicking the most is going to be Thunderous Kick. Obviously, I have to take care of Zapdos before my Zapdos can do anything. But once his Zapdos is taken care of, we're good to go. We can just start running through. Thunderous Kick, Throat Chop, Brave Bird, and Bulk Up. If we get a Bulk Up with this Mon, I think we can just win. Thunderous Kick is only resisted by the Zapdos, the Vileplume, and it's immune to the Palisand. But if we get a Bulk Up after the Zapdos is gone, Brave Bird will nuke the Vileplume, and a Throat Chop rips through Palisand, and then everything else I can just spam Thunderous Kick. And if he brings Incineroar, then eventually he's forced to bring Incineroar in, and if it's Intimidate, we get the boosts. So that's just even better for us. There's so many scenarios where Galarian Zapdos can just sweep late game, which I'm really hoping for. This thing also kind of prevents him from wanting to, if he brings, this thing just being here, I think prevents Strength Sap on Vileplume, in my opinion, because if I switch into a Strength Sap, or if he's whittled down in front of me, he can't click Strength Sap, or else he's just giving me more power. So I'm happy to have a Defiant Mon that I can basically just have that poor Vileplume be neutered. But I think Zapdos can do really, really well this week. Obviously, as for the spread, it's just 252, 252, speed, jolly, attack. Yeah, because he has base 100 on, so I had to at least speed tie with them and whatnot. And I can't outspeed Virizion, so there's no point in doing anything else. But yeah, that's our Zapdos. Next up, I needed something that could switch into Zapdos, kind of. I say kind of because it's not great. We have Dead Mom, the Marowak. We are running a fully sped F Marowak with leftovers, with Rockhead for the ability. I'm actually going to go with Battle Armor. Battle Armor is way better, so I can't get crit on the switch in. Now, I don't even know I actually haven't run any calcs for this, so I'm going to run them now. I was still at work when I prepped this, so I have no idea how much damage Zapdos does to Spadef Marowak. Something that shouldn't even exist. GPT-2... Careful, and let's give him the leftovers. Shoop-a-doop. And then we move over to here, and we have Zapdos. Let's do the defensive set. Hurricane does like 37 to 43, which isn't that bad if it's a defensive Zapdos. I don't believe they have any offensive Zapdos spreads, so let's just make one. Fuck, I didn't mean to do that. Shit. No, that's annoying. Two, Heat Wave, and Hurricane. Versus Spadef Marowak. I have to rebuild it because I accidentally hit back too many times. Because I'm stupid. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. So if it's like a max special attack, probably would be with boots, of course. This max special attack, the best he can do is he has a 0.4% chance to 2 KO me with Hurricane. 0.4%. So that's pretty cool. With Battle Armor, he can't crit us, so that's great. And Hurricane is the strongest move that thing can use against us. Because unless he has Hail or Rain Dance plus Weather Ball, he has no super effective coverage for us. So that's pretty cool. So we can come in on that thing. Get rocks up. Hopefully get a Toxic on it, because that's one of the only ways that we're going to really be able to beat that thing. So hopefully we'll be able to land a Toxic or something on it at some point. His form of Cleric support is the Vileplume with Aromatherapy, and I believe Jirachi gets Heal Bell. So hopefully he doesn't bring either of those, and we can just whittle down the Zapdos and get it going. As far as the moveset, Stealth Rock and Toxic are pretty much the only things that matter. Stone Edge and Bone Meringue are going to be doing negligible damage, mostly just due to the fact that this isn't an offensive Marowak. We don't have a thick club. Our attack is not sky high. We're just kind of here to say, Zapdos, you can't do too much, as much as you want to. And eventually, like, Marowak is probably going to get sacked. So that we can bring something in that can hit it really, really hard, like Lele or one of our next Bond being Pennywise, the Blacephalon, the Citrus Berry, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, Toxic, and Substitute. So this thing has potential, really a lot of potential to do well here. Hopefully, I say, because obviously, like last time, it didn't do anything. But Flamethrower plus Shadow Ball does a lot to his team. It hits a lot of things. I don't think there's anything on his team that resists both, except for Incineroar. So that's cool. A lot of things weak to it. Flamethrower being super effective on the Jirachi, the Virizion, and the Vileplume, and Shadow Ball being super effective on the Jirachi, the Palisand, and yeah, that's it. And yeah, nothing else resists both. So that's why I kind of came up with the Subtoxic set, because Obviously, any situation where I get this thing in, it's threatening something. If I bring this thing in on Jirachi, if I sack something off and bring it in on Jirachi, it's threatened immediately. If I bring it in on Palisand, I'm threatening it immediately. Unless he's Casseed Berry. If I bring it in on Vileplume, it's immediately threatened. Stuff like that. So I go for a sub as he switches into Incineroar. I get a Toxic on Incineroar. Or I get a Toxic on Suicune. And then I can start spamming any attack, really. It doesn't really matter. And I can start whittling them down and breaking through them. Chipping away at their health while they are chipped away by the Toxic. And I have the sub to keep myself safe, and the Citrus Berry for once I get down below a certain point. We have an even number of HP, so that 2 subs and we pop the Citrus. So that's pretty nice. Normally I go for the odd HP if I'm not running boots, but but in this case, subs. I felt like an even number of HP would be great. And we have good hazard removal, so I'm not super worried about rocks being up. But, hopefully Blastoise can do more this week than it did last week. And last week it did nothing, so hopefully we'll be able to get something going with Blastoise. If we can get a kill and get a Beast Boost going, we can probably just win the game, too, which is also cool. Because Blastoise is just fun to use. I love Ultra Beasts in Draft League. They're just win cons. They're always a win con. If you have an Ultra Beast, you have a win con. Period. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, we have Shell Shock our Blastoise. We got to bring our defensive core here. This guy with the Rocky Helmet, Torrent ability. Scald, Toxic, Roar, and Flip Turn. The spread for the defenses is pretty random. It's just more. I needed more Spadef because a lot of the physical things don't threaten Blastoise as much. But I needed more Spadef for things like the Regidrago, for the Palisand, to take a hit from Zapdos, for Suicune to sit in front of it and not care, stuff like that. So that's kind of why the spread is the way it is. Nothing too crazy. For the physical stuff, like this thing switches into Jirachi nicely if it's U-turning or if it's Iron Heading. We take not too much damage, and he gets chipped with the Rocky Helmet, which is always nice. So that's pretty nice. We have Toxic because, again, it's just a good move to have. Things like Suicune, I would like to get a Toxic on. Toxic the Berziana on switch in. That'd be cool. Toxic the Zapdos specifically, that would be awesome. If we're just out of range of being KO'd by it, I can go for a Toxic and hope that he doesn't think that we can live. So, we'll see how that goes. Excuse me. We have a Roar because of Suicune. So I'm kind of trying to prepare for like the worst case scenarios with Suicune, and one of them being Subcom Mind. And if he's Subcom Mind, he might think he can set up on this thing, sub in front of us as we try to Toxic it, and then start Calm Minding up. That's not going to happen. If he gets a sub up at any point in time, Blastoise is the go-to. We click Roar, and it's gone. And we're not letting that happen. Screw your subs, screw your Calm Minds. We're not doing it. We're not doing this at all. We're not allowing it. So that's pretty cool. That's the goal here with Shell Shock. To kind of, mitigate the Suicune problem. We have Flip Turn to potentially hold up some momentum, which is always important. And last but not least, we have New Balance, the Rotom Mow. We are running enough speed to outpace a max speed Regidrago. Why are we running that much speed, though? We don't need that much speed. We We don't really need to outspeed Regidrago. It's not. We're not doing anything to it anyway. So why are we outspeeding Regidrago? Yeah, there's not really any worth to that. Let's just outspeed Incineroar and run a bunch of Spadef. 2. That sounds good. Well, not that much Spadef. That looks good. Okay. And then we're going to change this to Thunderbolt. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. So this is our Rotom now. 248 HP, 132 defense, 80 Spadef, and 48 speed to outspeed Incineroar. We have the leftovers. Levitate, of course, for the ability. Thunderbolt, Leaf Storm, Psych Up, and Defog. So again, this is a secondary way to stop Calm Mind Suicune. Go into Rotom, and if he's setting up like crazy, or if he's already set up like crazy, we click Psych Up. And we take those stat boosts for our own. And then now we are a threat to him because we are on par with him. We have all those special attack boosts and stuff. And we can start clicking Thunderbolt. Or we can Thunderbolt him down to where he's in range of a Leaf Storm. And then now we are in a controlling position against the Suicune. Because unless he has Ice Beam, he's not much of a threat to us, and we are still like a big threat to him. So, and then also, you know, we have those boosts for other things as well, which is good. So, sorry, my cat was being silly. So we can also use those boosts to break through other mons on their team as well. So that would be really nice. So hopefully that'll pan out nicely. We have Defog on Rotom as well to take care of Stealth Rocks and stuff. Palossand can be a rocker, Jirachi can be a rocker, and Armaldo could be rockers. So any of those 3 could bring Stealth Rocks to this game, and I don't want them to be a problem for us. So they're not going to be. We're not going to let it be. But with that being said, that's going to be all for this one. You'll see the battle go up tomorrow. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. And until next time, I am PokePrimer, signing off. Peace!